Doral, Florida, 2024. A sea of red hats bobbed in the sunshine. Make America Great Again echoed in the air, a chant taken up with fervor by Venezuelan voices tinged with the lilt of Caracas. Venezuelan Americans, many recent arrivals, had thrown their lot in with Donald J. Trump. They saw in him a bulwark, a promise of strength against the regime that had ravaged their homeland. The reasons were manifold. Maduro, the dictator who held Venezuela in his iron grip, was the antithesis of everything Trump seemed to represent. Very strange that the Venezuelans would see Trump in this way when they're running away from Maduro. A leader with Trump-like qualities, Trump was brash, a businessman, a fighter. But the truth is Trump is one of the world's worst businessmen. Casinos have gone bankrupt at his hands. He promised a strong America, one that would stand up to dictators and socialists. Yes, he will start deportations, but only for the criminals. For Venezuelans who had fled the economic ruin and political repression of their country, Trump's message resonated deeply. After all, Trump was only going to deport the criminals. Trump promised lower grocery prices, a better economy, and a much better standard of living for the Venezuelans, all before the election. Doral, nicknamed Doralzuela for its large Venezuelan population, became a microcosm of this fervent support. Here, in the heart of the Sunshine State, Trump's promises hit home. At a Trump rally, a Latino woman jumps on stage shouting, "We love you, Mr. Trump, we love you, Mr. Trump." He would be their champion, their shield against the forces that had driven them from their beloved Venezuela. The American dream they clung to was in their sights. They could see the finish line. The Latinos even had a Latino song. "I Will Vote for Donald Trump" was the chorus at a Latino music festival. A Latino lady sings on stage wearing a red dress with her band behind her playing enthusiastically, "I will vote for Donald Trump." Booms the chorus line. The Venezuelans started mocking the other communities, calling them snowflakes, woke lefty liberals, dismissing them as jealous because of the Venezuela's close proximity to whiteness. All communities begged them, "Don't vote for Trump, he will sell you out." The Venezuelans said, "Trump will only deport the criminals. The hard-working Venezuelans will be left alone." Trump has promised us. Hispanics and fellow Latinos begged the Venezuelans, "Don't vote against your own interest. It could end up as FAFO." The lefties and the liberals and the black African American community asked the Venezuelans not to vote for Donald Trump. "It will end up really bad for you." They said, "If you do, it will be FAFO." The Venezuelans ignored the warnings and voted for Trump in huge numbers, over 60% of their number. The year is 2024. Trump wins the election. The Venezuelans celebrate, a sea of red hats, Trump flags waving. But will their celebrations be short-lived? Trump's new laws will mean the end of TPS for the Venezuelans. ICE raids will separate Venezuelan families. Deportations will start. Guantanamo Bay has been turned into a migrant holding center. Donald Trump was not telling the truth. Trump starts to deport Venezuelans. Not only the criminals, the hard-working Venezuelans are also deported. ICE immigration start to raid farms. The Venezuelans try to hide. But alas, they get caught by ICE. Not even the churches are safe for Venezuelans. ICE immigration raid churches the word. Hospitals are no longer safe for Venezuelans, whether they work there or they're going for treatment. ICE will be there waiting for them. Schools are no longer a sanctuary for Latino or Hispanics children. ICE have been raiding schools every day since Trump has won the election. The air, once thick with celebration, now crackled with fear. There was no lower grocery prices, just deportations and fears of being sent to Guantanamo Bay. And now with ICE actively searching for Latinos and Hispanics. The Trump administration, in a move that sent shockwaves through the Venezuelan community, announced the termination of temporary protected status for Venezuelans living in the United States. The very people who had cheered the loudest, who had believed most fervently in the promise of Trump. were now staring down the barrel of deportation.
The Department of Homeland Security, under the leadership of Kristi Noem, justified the decision by claiming that conditions in Venezuela had improved. This assertion, however, rang hollow to those who still had family and friends suffering under Maduro's oppressive regime. The reality on the ground was far different from the rosy picture painted by the administration before the election. Now Trump had turned on the Venezuelan community. It was time for FAFO.
The termination of TPS was not just a bureaucratic decision, it was a betrayal of the trust that Venezuelan Americans had placed in the Republican Party. Many had voted Republican for the first time in their lives, swayed by Trump's tough talk and his promises to stand with them against Maduro, and now with Trump making deals to send them back to Maduro. Now they felt used and discarded, their loyalty repaid with a callous disregard for their plight. And ICE was actively searching for them. MAGA was now laughing at them, telling Latinos and Hispanics, "We only needed your vote." The very real threat of deportations, now looming large over the Venezuelan community. Families that had just begun to rebuild their lives were torn apart. Their children sent into hiding. The adults rounded up and deported. Some ended up in Guantanamo Bay. The American dream, once so tantalizingly close, was snatched away, leaving behind only bitterness and a profound sense of betrayal. Trump, once their savior, had turned his back on them. Venezuelans had pinned their hopes on a new life in America after receiving an extension to their TPS status by outgoing President Biden. The Venezuelan community now wished they had voted Vice President Harris instead of Trump. The one thing that the Latino children are told by their parents: if ICE immigration comes to your school, run and find a black teacher, they will protect and hide you. A Latino mother tells her child, tears streaming down her face. If you see ICE at school, run to an African-American teacher, they will always help you. Trump starts to send Venezuelans to Guantanamo Bay. Even the innocent Venezuelans are sent to Guantanamo Bay, not just the criminals. Warnings before the election from lefties and liberals ignored by the Venezuelan community. The black community tried to help, they was also pushed to the side. We hope you are enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Venezuelans that had diligently applied for asylum, believing in the fairness of the American justice system, only to find their applications was denied. With the termination of TPS, the Venezuela community faced the very real prospect of being sent back to the country they had risked everything to escape. The whole world watched in horror as a Venezuelan father, who was a staunch Trump supporter, now faced deportation. Some Trump-supporting Venezuelans also ended up in Guantanamo Bay. The very man who had promised to protect them from criminals and bad hombres was now the one tearing their families apart. The cancellation of TPS shook the Venezuelan community to the core and predicted a backlash.
Betrayed. We feel betrayed. More than betrayed. Her words spoke volumes about the shattered dreams and the broken promises that littered the path of the Venezuelan Trump experiment.
The story of Venezuelan Trump supporters is a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the dangers of blind faith in political rhetoric. It lays bare the human cost of political expediency, of using communities as pawns in a larger game of power. The scars left by this betrayal will run deep, and the impact will continue to resonate for generations to come. The Republican Party, once seen as a beacon of hope by many in the Venezuelan community, now face a reckoning. FAFO, the Venezuelan Trump experiment, born out of desperation and fueled by hope, ended in bitter disappointment and a profound sense of betrayal. It serves as a stark reminder that in the game of politics, the most vulnerable are often the ones who pay the highest price. Or will their plight be relegated to the footnotes of history? Another tragic example of political opportunism and its devastating consequences. We at JCTV would like to send our thoughts to the Venezuelan community and wish you all the best. In the future, hopefully a future in the USA. This video was brought to you by FAFO. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.